everyone for being here. Welcome to CTO Insights, the first one this year. I'm so happy to have you all here. Good turnout. Couple things. Some QR codes. I need you all to scan them. There's a Microsoft event happening on the 23rd. Please join us for that. And here we go. I want to introduce you to Hugo Conde, Managing Partner of Parker Evans Consulting, aka the Professor. I just gave him that nickname, so if he's blushing, it's my fault.
I don't know.
I'll tell you, Hugo loves interaction, so please ask questions. And if you have questions, raise your hand. I got the golden knife with the mic, so we can all pass it around and have some fun. Without further ado, I introduce Hugo Conde, and he'll tell you all about himself and how amazing he is.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that intro. Not at all a professor, not at all. No teacher, no nothing. I'm just a practitioner. That's what I am. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate you coming. I think it's a great crowd. Be able to see that you enjoy one another, good networking. So it's a beautiful thing that professionals like you are coming here and enjoy a little bit of a conversation on different topics. And in this case, it's going to be data modernization projects. And just wanted to, I'm really excited to talk about this. I'm really humble actually to be the speaker today because it's exciting to talk about what it really takes to build a modern data platform that really drives value to the business. And if you're in that space, more than likely you will have that a common thing, because we can do so much with data for the business and different things that we can do to really make sure that that talk with people that wants to do more with data. And this is all about that. And I'm not going to discuss, this presentation is not necessarily about the technical point of view, but more from a leadership decisions. So let me give you a little bit of introduction myself. My name is Hugo Conde. I am the co-founder of Parker Evans Consulting, focused primarily on 4 different core services. Primarily anything related to strategy, data strategy, AI strategy, doing fractional IT leadership, as well as anything with advisory services, IT advisory services. And now with strategic partnership with Astia and their amount of talent that they have, we're sure we can provide basically a more rounded services around digital transformation initiative, doing more with data transformation, data modernization, anything related to application integration services, and many other digital transformation initiatives that you may have. And just wanted to give you a little bit about me as well. I am originally from Peru. Anybody visited Peru before? Anybody? Okay.
I got trapped there.
You got what?
I got trapped there and held hostage.
You got trapped. Oh, so you haven't visited.
Well, the start was nice.
Well, you should have stepped out of the airport, maybe, and you can visit a few things, enjoy the gastronomy there. Well, so this is going to be awkward. I'm talking about Peru now. I was born actually and raised here, among doctors, dentists, and nurses. So I decided to go to a different route. I went to the technology side. But if you haven't visited Peru, I really encourage you to do so. I mean, it's very well known for having one of the 7 wonders of the world, which is the Machu Picchu Citadel. Also because their gastronomy. I mean, if you haven't tasted the Peruvian cuisine, I highly recommend it. I'm sure you will enjoy it, thanks to famous chefs like Gastón Acurio, who put really the Peruvian cuisine on the global map. And also some of the famous chef, I think the top chef in the world is Virgilio Martinez, who is basically the one who innovate the different type of ingredients in the cuisine, in the Caribbean cuisine area. So it had been global recognized, the top restaurants based on 2024, I believe. It's called Central in Lima. So if you want to book it, you need to book it in 4 or 5 months in advance. That's how the demand is in that restaurant. So, but anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit about where I'm coming from. I started my career with IBM. I saw the first thing that I did was implementing ERP applications from our JD Edwards. I don't know if you're familiar with that application, from our the green screen. And then you see how the evolution of the ERP system came along. I was able to experience that using the green screen to FAT client, which is client-server technologies, how the ERP were very popular back in the 90s. Everybody wants to go to ERP, primarily because they can use ERP systems to automate and do their practices around manufacturing, supply chain management, and finance. So all of that combined, very well known, probably still is around is SAP. I was working at the Coca-Cola company. I had the opportunity to implement one of the largest ERP applications for the Coca-Cola company out of Havana. It was an experience knowing how much changes will need to occur in the business itself in order to embrace the best practices around SAP. And throughout that, you can see that now ERP offers SaaS format, more software as a service now, not only SAP, but many others, Oracle, and so forth. So I saw the evolution, right, from the beginning of the ERP system all the way to what it is now. And many, actually, today, many companies are looking at the ERP to implement AI in their own platform. They are developing their own agents. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, because I think it's important to understand how companies are being convinced by ERP systems like these SaaS applications to be able to bring this data into their AI, agentic AI, and you will see that maybe that's a wrong platform to meet. All right, so one of the things that prior to Parker Evans, I was in Marriott Education Worldwide. In combination of years, 20 plus years, I was at the head of the data platforms, enterprise platforms. Prior to the merge, because Marriott Education Worldwide acquired Integral Leisure Group, which is another vacation ownership company with multiple brands. Probably heard about them, Stana, Starwoods, and so forth. So Hyatt Vacation Hyatt Vacation Worldwide as well. That was another company that was part of our brands. Marriott acquired ILG, and in combination, I was a little bit over 15 plus years in the data space. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that, while I was at the Coca-Cola company doing ERP implementation, so I'm implementing SAP, it gave me the opportunity to really implement and be part of that team to implement the first enterprise data warehouse. This is early 90s, okay? The first enterprise data warehouse. And this is one of the things that at that time, that was one of the things that they were happening, right? And the combination was Oracle, DataStage. I don't know if somebody familiar with DataStage and now it's still IBM, okay? All right. And that was early 90s. Right? I'm dating myself now. So, and then, what was the front end? What was the front end? What do you think it was?
Bots. Web Logic.
Microsoft Access. Yeah. Microsoft Access. Just wanted to point that out because, at that time, that's what it was. Everything was summarized, everything was aggregated. And obviously those reports were taking a long time to get to the users, but that was the technology at that time, early 90s. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background of what I'm going to be talking about. But I'm really passionate, really, about how the market is changing and how we can provide ways to reshape the future for people who want to do data or more with data. So any presentation would not be complete if we don't talk about AI. And this, we're talking about modern data platforms. But and many presentations start with some sort of a statistics, and this is one of the things that I got my attention, and I thought you might want to also think about, because enterprises, we know that enterprises are now moving into passing the foundational use of LLMs into more specialized agents. And these agents will create really a competitive advantage of many people and productivity and efficiency. And many claim that these agents will run the enterprise, or at least some part of the enterprise. McKinsey, based on McKinsey, you can see there, according to McKinsey, that 30% of the enterprises will be performed by AI agents by 2030. Do we believe that? Do we believe that? That's the research and the forecast that they did. Deloitte, another company that I used to deal with McKinsey and Deloitte, both companies that I work with them for a period of time. 50% of the enterprises, they say, that will deploy AI agents by 2027. Now, obviously there is a lot of movements, a lot of interest for CIOs and senior leaderships to implement AI in a very specialized agent. I was talking to Edwards Dawn Company. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I was talking to the CIO a few weeks ago. And one of the things that he told me is that they are using their SAP platform to run these specialized agents. One of the things that they have developed was to create this RFP response process. So they deal with this. Edwards, let me give you a little bit of background on Edwards company, or Dawn Company. There is a food service retailer, but not in food, but in equipment side. So all equipment and supply for many restaurants, that's what they supply. And you see those trucks, it's a the Dawn Company. It's a very large organization, and they deal a lot with cruises. So think about the amount of items and products that they move because they deal with those cruises. And that's how I was able actually to connect with them. Being in Miami, we have a lot of conversations with the cruises. And he mentioned to me that one of the things that they've done is that using these enterprise or specialized agents to respond to these RFPs that they were taking about 5 to 6 weeks to respond. Think about an RFP that have about 1,600 to 2,000 products in that RFP. And they needed to, respond to that in a way that doesn't take that long. I mean, it requires a lot of research, a lot of putting the right products, because cruises, for example, don't like to use glasses. They don't have glasses, in the cruises, but they basically were able to provide the products that they create or products that they distribute and sell in the same way. Using AI, they were able to reduce the cycle to basically 2 to 3 days. And they're saying that that with 85% accuracy, they were able to collect all this information, provide the pricing in about 20 minutes. And then the salesperson is the one who reviews these items and put the right pricing, make the modifications. But in total, they were able to reduce from 5 to 6 weeks to only 2 to 3 days. So obviously they gain operational efficiency. This is one of the things that they gained so much. and they use the SAP platform to be able to do that. I challenge that because ERP solutions, they really do good things, in three different ways. They definitely collect the functional data for the different domain aspects of it, finance, inventory management, all of them. They do very good about collecting data. They do very good about presenting the data using the UI and with functional format. They were able to see that. But third is that they were able to claim that they can collect this data in a format that can be a single source of truth. I personally believe that is, through time, that has been the opposite actually. Because they're not created, as these SaaS enterprise solutions, they were not created to be a multi-source universe. And that's what you need. An agent needs to have more than just the data that they provide on the enterprises. As a matter of fact, the enterprise, the SaaS application, enterprise SaaS applications is becoming another silo, data silo in the enterprise. Because they only know what they know. That, constraint. So for example, if you want to ask your CRM, system, which they also provide some sort of an agents, what is my first customer issue for this particular customer segment? You can't do that because they need data from your customer service data, the customer service agent. If you go into the customer service agent and you ask them what is my number one issue for this particular segment as well, you can't do that because it doesn't have the other data. You need, for example, primarily if you want to ask them what is the number of customer issue on this life cycle of my product or what I'm trying to sell, where do they fall out? You can do that because you need the data of your web analytics, you need the data from your potentially product telemetry data. So all of that is lacking. So what they produce, these data silos, they produce silo agents. So it is important to think about that because a lot of companies are going to that direction and then realize, hey, maybe I select the wrong platform for my AI agents. So, and this is actually lead us really to what are we going to discuss. We need a little bit more of an enterprise level. This is another point that I want to highlight as well. 63% of data professionals lack of confidence in their own data strategy for AI today. Why is that? What do you think is that? The research says what is standing on the way, primarily for that, is access to the right and curated data. And that's interesting, right? That all of these data professionals, these practitioners, feel that data is not ready. So that also leads us to my second point. Where is the data? Where are the data sources that are required to run your agents? Many people think that are in the, obviously your SaaS applications, but I guarantee you a lot of companies today, they still run their systems on-premise. And there's hard to get those data. It requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of support, it's very costly to run as well. And they're thinking about maybe I can run my AI agents on-premise. Well, that's the wrong approach as well because, again, it's difficult to maintain, it's too costly. So I just, it's interesting that they say that 83% of the data, this is 2024, perhaps this number has decreased a little bit, but that gives you an idea of how much data is still on premise and how difficult it is to get access to. So, I want to start then our conversation with what I feel is the definition of a data model platform, or to build one of them. It's a strategic approach, right? That involves innovative thinking, accessibility, governance, and most importantly, the right architecture on the cloud. because that will give you the ability to take advantage of what the cloud services are all about, the scalability, the elasticity, and the storage capacity and the computational power that this requires in order to perform all these things that you want to do with AI and some of the other topics that involve providing information to the company. So, one of the things that I like to discuss is a little bit about the, you've probably seen this in one way or another form. It gives you a little bit of a self-assessment of where you are, and I think that's the first step that we want to always do. Anybody who is in the data and data side, we need to really understand where you are in the evolution of the data. If you want to be, everything on the top side of it, it requires, the foundational level, and everything is supposed to be start with your data platform. Anything else that you want to do, obviously it requires some level of innovation, some level of understanding of your business, how you're going to impact them, and most importantly, how do you take your business people in this journey to be able to reach a point where you really want to drive value to your organization? How do you take your business users who are working maybe very hard in the spreadsheets, and these spreadsheets are all over the place, and they don't know anything about that there is a better way to use data. So this is one of the things that we, hopefully we can have more conversations about that, how we do that, how do we really take this into a more journey and what type of challenges do we face. One of the key points that also wanted to give a little bit of some facts. For the one, these are TWI, one organization that is one of the organizations that do a lot of research and training and do a lot of analysis around data management, AI, and strategy. The question for the one who are like me, blind, and this in the back, the question says, which statement best describes your organization's maturity with AI? And the first 2 points, the majority say that they're not ready. They're not mature enough. So you can see the majority of them, they say they want to do Gen AI, but they're not ready because the data is not ready. They're not mature enough. So, another data point of TWI, which is, what is the biggest challenge your organization has either or had or is having getting AI off the ground? The majority responds for data quality and skills. But the top is data quality. If you are in the data space, you probably can agree with me and agree with this. Isn't it? Yeah. Look what it says, Gartner. I think everybody's familiar with Gartner already. It says 6.25% will be the cost of poor data quality for companies. Now imagine you are a $1 billion company. It costs you $62 million lost due to poor data quality. Wow. Now, let's assume that this number is very exaggerated. Let's divide it in half. $31 million. Still is a lot of money. $31 million that can be invested in technology, something that can be done for employees and so forth. And you can actually appreciate how much revenue has been lost because of poor data quality. So what does that mean? That means that in order to really implement agentic AI, you need to think a little about the realities of that. What does that mean? This is some source of McKinsey and some other data points in there, references that you can check. But the driver for the data modernization is primarily AI. Some of them are. AI needs high quality, business ready data, really to deliver the full potential of how really you can unlock the potential of AI with a strong data foundation. And this data points actually highlight that. And not only just that, but it requires the cloud services to be able to implement this. It has the computational power, it has the storage capacity, it has the elasticity, and the way that we can interact with other platforms as well. You know, all the new technologies that are coming up through the cloud. Most of them, you know, so the interactivity or interoperability of these applications are necessary to implement it in the cloud. All right, so just wanted to, you know, everybody agree with this? Do you think that is, you know, sound? Other things that I want to call out here, because every initiative, every project has their own challenges. Data modernization is actually have their own challenges as well. But one of the things that I like to point out here is that most of the challenges here are not necessarily technology. Most of the challenges are people and process. See? I was talking to the CIO of a very large regional bank here in the Southeast. You probably know it, I won't mention the name, I have an NDA with them. But this, you know, CIO was telling me that they have these data modernization projects. They recognize this initiative are very critical for their business, but they've been sitting on the shelf for 2 years, 2.5 years, and they haven't been able to start it again. And most of the problem is because of the challenge that they have is the last one. Well, I mean, not the last one in the priority, but this organizational support and resistance. This is how, you know, and they've been sitting for today. They wanted to provide this project started for them from an IT perspective. And that's my point, right? I mean, you can start these projects just on an IT side. If you work in an organization that is primarily an IT driven for this, more than likely, data modernization projects will fail. You need to have the support of your business. You need to have them on board. You need to make sure that they are part of that cycle of implementing your data modernization projects. And many, even who already have some level of modern data platform, they are already reassessing the technology stack. Because sometimes they don't have or the right technology for the jobs that they want to perform. But they need, again, the support of the business. And this is actually highlighted that this CIO is basically dealing with these challenges, even internally within the same IT department, his IT department. One of the things that he mentioned is that even the DBAs are scared of going to the cloud because they're gonna lose their jobs. Yeah. I mean, it's really, you know, typically you don't need DBA administrations when you know, launch DBAs. I mean, at least not to the level of if you're running on premise. But it can be, you know, obviously reusing other areas, right? But obviously it requires some organizational thinking, how you structure it, and so forth. But I just wanted to call this out. Perhaps you already experienced that as well. So this is not about technology. Most of the time, it's about people and process. So, a couple of things here to talking about being how I at least view it to be successful in the data modernization projects. When organizations change, they start creating really data culture, data literacy, but most importantly, having a very hard discussions about data modernization. Have you heard that term? Because data modernization is very hard to get rid of. A lot of people want to keep everything in the data platform. Every single data they want to have that in there. And this is a big change, primarily if those data sets really are bringing value, business value to the companies, to the enterprise. Maybe they have different business intelligence tools, different visualization tools, maybe different data wrangling tools and data science, and they grow with multiple technologies, primarily because acquisitions maybe, or mergers and acquisitions, that happens in area. When I was in area, I mean, we acquired many companies and we end up with a bunch of tools. But you see, the success of a data platform organization is not about how much technology you have in place. It's not about how much technology, it's about the adoption of technology. And I think that's really important to have in mind as you look at these success factors and see how can you really take that business users with you, to sell these, ideas of modernizing the data platform, look at the vision, and socialize the ideas with them. You socialize with them, you tell them what you want to do. You see, you can tell them, hey, I promise you I can give you more faster approach to your campaign management you want to do. I think I can support you in a regulatory compliance and tell them through that vision how we're going to be able to accomplish that. And convince them, partner with them, and be able to take advantage of these areas of success. And I think also part of this is data governance. I want to talk about that. I know that some of you are in the data governance space. I personally think that data quality and data governance are, have the renaissance really this year. The reason is because when enterprises went through GDPR, compliant with GDPR or compliant with CCPA, part of that exercise they discovered that maybe there are 72 copies of the customer data in spreadsheets, right? And Joe is sending every Thursday customer data to, a partner or something internal. I mean, people in the data governance space, they got horrified. They said, what is this? And you see, so it's time, but it gives you the opportunity now to spend more time in metadata management, to understand really data lineage, where the data is going, and who is using it. Who's using it, what is the security concerns around it. So that gives an opportunity for companies really to rethink more or spend more time in data governance, data security, and privacy. So I think this is very interesting things that we can get as far as data modernization, because you'll find this. If you already have a modern data platform, make sure that your data is global. It's important because we owe it to the enterprise. We are part of the data stewards. We are responsible for the constraints and the financial rigor of the organizations. So we need to know where they are. We need to understand where this data is flying. So it's something that we can always revisit if necessary, right? As part of your strategy. All right, so I believe this is the data management spectrum. From anything on the left is kind of the basic stuff that we see. I mean, basic activities. If you want to go to the right, it's more the advanced, it's the fun stuff, probably. But I think we need to go back to the reality, right? We need to understand where we are in that spectrum. And most companies, they find themselves kind of in the middle. They have already the data engineering side, they have a platform, perhaps they're doing any type of RASI, what roles do they have and so forth. But in order to go to the right, you need to now have a better approach to deal with users where they can work as a team, right, with IT. And I think it's important. It's not just technology, but it's how you work with your business users, your stakeholders. Now you want to implement something, but it's in the right. So it is important really to understand the spectrum, but how you get to the right is by using people and process in place. Bottom line, those are some activities actually that CTOs CDIOs, which are the chief data officers and chief technology officers, typically deal that you pull, push and pull related to different activities in order to be able to, handle this data management spectrum and provide a better use of data. All right, so I think all my points there. One of the things that I would definitely recommend to different organizations to use these value levers to help your business users, to stakeholders, your business leaders, to help you implement a data platform. If you have a data product that you want to implement, tie these data products and programs to one of those levers. I would highly recommend that you select one, maybe a secondary value lever to be able to, make sure that you have the funding that is necessary for your data products and programs. We can start the conversation maybe and say, hey, I would like to entertain this idea of these products. I mean, I believe I can help you to move faster to speed to market. I should be able to, I know that you want to have these goals to increase your sales and revenue. I can help you that. I can help you bring in these data products so you can personalize your email campaigns, your digital campaigns, and value to these value leaders, so they will be able to understand, what it means to implement this, and the value and the cost associated with it. So I think we can definitely take advantage of that, having a little bit more of an ROI approach to our data products, and maybe want to increase customer experience as well. Well, that's something that you can always tie these three together and be able to make sure that you get the funding necessary for your project. I know that every company has their own budgets, everybody has their own process of requiring budgets, but as long as you use these value levers, you should be able to promote your data project. Giving people better access to data to do their job, also have to be governed, right? It has to be secure. Think about that. Once you start moving into what they call a more persona design level of your projects or your data, now you can start thinking about who needs what, right? What requires that type of data? What type of access do we need? Why do we need it? There's a reason behind the things as you continue to provide data governance into your projects. All right, so, and this is actually, I was just talking about this, the midpoint of having this conversation with your business stakeholders. And I think you need to have that middle ground when you have a data platform, when you have your strategy, the data strategy, your data strategy, to be able to communicate with the business stakeholders, to be on board, so you can start, create some ideation of different data products that they may need. Have a platform that they can play with, and they can be able to see, okay, what type of data, or explore the data that is needed. And then, when you go to the right, that's kind of the fun stuff, right? I mean, those are your AI agents that require some data. What type of agent do we need in my organization to either improve operational efficiencies, or bring more revenue, or improve customer experience? All of these initiatives can be accomplished once you have that middle ground. That point, your strategy in place, your adoption and support of the technology that you have implemented, and that requires a middle point so you can have a better discussion with your team. So I want to talk a little bit about data utility. I don't want to take too much time here, but when you implement data products, I want you to think about, I want you to feel like you're going to a grocery. You select your data programs, your data products, but think about this. You go to a data grocery, you're gonna buy something. And you go through the process, you select the product that you want, you see the labels, you see who manufactured it, you see the ingredients, how to use it, what expiration date, all of that, before you come buy it, right? And then you go to, I mean, you don't go actually to, for example, to the dog aisle to buy some food for you. That would be poor utility. But you go into this aisle, exactly what ingredients needs to be, what ingredients have, what manufacturer, who manufacturer, what expiration date, what it's using for, some directions in it, and in the products that you buy at the groceries. The same thing is with data. When you implement data products, you need to define the things, who needs to be used, what data is contained, who, what skills are necessary to access that data. Because, and also I want you to think about going to a pharmacy as well. When you go into a pharmacy, you don't just get medicines off the shelf, you have a prescription. And it's exactly the same thing. The prescription tells you that it's for a particular utility, for a particular person. And that's exactly how data needs to be governed, right? It's a particular utility, it's a data utility that's a specific function for that data, what it contains, but also who's supposed to be using and what skills are necessary to be used of those. So in that case, your data is secured, it's private, and you know exactly who needs to use it. What is the data lineage as well? I mean, all of those, if that information is part of implementing these data products. So think about that as you continue moving forward into your data strategy, your implementation of the data modern platform. Think about the things to make sure that your data is governed and secured. That gives you a better opportunity to discuss this with your data security team, with your privacy team, your risk management team, to say, hey, I'm complying with the regulations and the policies that you have in place. So, and that also going back to the same slide, right? That with that mindset of using data products in that way, then you can have a better conversation with your business stakeholders and be able to come up with better ideas how to use it, more data products. Sometimes they are derived products. You implement one data product, and then that produces another data product. So there's a lot of dependencies as well that you can definitely discuss this with your business leaders. I wanted to give you a little step back on the process. Just kind of summarize, and you would like to, definitely you want to define your goals. You want to make sure why you want to implement this data platform or data product that you have, this program that you have developed, and assess your situation. Go back to that slides that I mentioned, why we're using it, what are the main goals for this particular data product, and make sure that you identified all the data sources that you have, that particular product needs to have, identifying all the opportunities and data points, even the organizational challenges or resistance that you may have listed, as before you start or engage into that journey of developing your data platform. Develop a strategy, select the right tools. As part of your data strategy, create a roadmap, right? I mean, you can define the architecture, create a roadmap. You have to select the governance and the policies that are going to be used as part of that data product, and prioritize those initiatives. You can put everything together. I mean, there's so much funding in different enterprises. Obviously, you need to prioritize based on the business value that we talked about that before, what business is bringing to the company. Perhaps, there is, it will give, the business stakeholders something that they can, something satiating while they're still waiting maybe for a long-term roadmap of the data, of your data strategy. So that's something that we need to think about. What if maybe something that I can do right now to make sure that they can continue having interest in this modernizing or modernize your data platforms. And one of the things that I want to also highlight that is really important, at least my experience has been that it is critical to conduct POCs. As part of your selection process and execution, give yourself a chance to test and do POCs for your technology. Maybe you're already doing that, but a lot of things that we think that that product will do, maybe they have some limitations. They still, they promise you that that is there, but it's not there. It's going to be probably in the next year or so. So continue to provide or conduct POCs before you implement and play with the technology to see if it's the right fit for your data strategy. And another thing is also embrace agile methodologies in your implementation. Be ready to change, right? I mean, business changes all the time, and sometimes these projects takes a long period of time, a year, maybe two, and business changes during that course. So be ready to adapt, embrace agile frameworks, and be able to execute all your strategy. That's my recommendation on that. This is give you a little bit of a history of the different architectures in place, the evolution of the enterprise data warehouses. You see the different years that they were implemented, data lakes, sometime in 2007 and so forth. You see the enterprise data warehouses started actually in 1995 with that concept. And later than that, it was data marts. A lot of people think that data marts was before the enterprise data warehouses. That's not the case. As a matter of fact, because the enterprise data warehouses were so big, the idea of data marts, is because they wanted to see, hey, you know what, I want something small right now. I want to have separate for the enterprise. I don't want to invest too much money in the enterprise. I want something for my department, something that is concise. So that's how everything started in the 90s. Now we have lake houses and data fabric and data mesh networks, and also some related to AI as well. So that's kind of a little bit of history. I mean, maybe you can recognize some of those elements. We see the Kimball methodology, having in 1991 with the dimensional modeling. Something interesting that it was since then, and it's still being used, right, for the data warehouses. Marriott uses quite a bit that, the Kimball methodology to really implement to map that process, that data process into the data warehouse. All right, so this is the only technical slide that I have in here right now. This is your reference architecture, right? Your data reference architecture. And you can actually see right from data sources all the way to the acquisition layer. You have the processing, all the processing from the storage to this multi-layer of processing your data. Many people call it bronze, silver, and gold. Some people call it raw, sanitized layer, conform. Whatever that logical transformation happens in your data, it is important to have that multi-layer. It gives you the ability to really understand how the data has evolved from raw all the way to the transformation that is heavily used in your data lakes or potentially your data warehouse. So, and everything, on the bottom side is that different technologies. Some of them are provided by your cloud vendor. So take advantage of that. Don't reinvent the wheel, right? I mean, they provide so many things on the cloud that you can take advantage, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel on that. and also some of the technologies that can fit those particular boxes. The way I use it is like kind of a heat map. I said, hey, I need this is very prescriptive, right? Not descriptive, this is prescriptive. So you select the area that you actually need, select it, and sometimes you may say, I'm not mature enough to implement something. And you said, maybe somebody wants to do data science on that side. And maybe you say, you know what, until you certify my data, I don't think we should be able to go into the data science level there. But that is something that you need to get to know obviously your business users, your policy and the culture of the company. But use it as a heat map, not use it as something that is scripted, but more prescriptive for your organization. This is a little bit of a map of how it's a little bit more interactive, kind of a logical point of view of how the data flows from data sources to data lakes, to lake houses, to data warehouses, and the consumption of that data by your BI tools, by your users. Also, you can see also in this particular logic, I stole this graphic from this man, because it gives it a little bit more visual of what it takes really to build a more data platform. You have the event-driven, in this case, to feed, or coming from different applications, even for your IoTs, maybe it goes into your data lake or lake house, and they feed back to potentially machine learning models, right? And those machine learning models feed back to those applications. So this, you can actually see the data on top and the bottom. Those are cloud services, and you can always use common to the data flows that you have in there. So there are different models, and just, I'll give you a little bit of a sample of this modern data platform. Maybe you have seen that already, but I thought it was kind of interesting how this Deepak visualizes this model. All right, so also if you want to build data product lifecycle, this is kind of the methodology. You want to make sure, I just want to emphasize this. Every time that you deploy a product, a data product, make sure that it's certified. I mean, your users will need to be involved, right? I mean, this is about people and process, right? Make sure that the data gets certified, that they can say that it's usable. So everybody else who needs to consume this data can be done. So please take that advantage of that. Think about also a software development process. Most people, most business users are already used to involve the business users to test. The data product lifecycle is the same way, right? You should be able to involve your users to be able to test and certify your data. So this is kind of the data principles that I like to complete. This is the last slide that I have here. It gives you really an opportunity to have this mentality when you're implementing or upgrading the data platform. Think about data platform as a service, right? As a self-service. So they should be able to go into, if they have obviously the appropriate data governance and security, make sure that they are able to provide a level of self-service, right? Don't depend too much on IT. Serve really as a trusted partners to the business users. Make sure that they engage in your journey when you're implementing these products. And also, invest in the future. Try to always use the different technologies, do proof of concepts, make sure that your business can see the value of that. There are thousands now of multiple tools. If you go to any event, there are hundreds, thousands of products, but we want to select the right product with business value. That if that product is going to help me to implement my solution, if this product is going to help me to maybe leapfrog to a certain area or a certain goal, and if gonna help me out to speed the process, right? I mean, those are the type of things you always need to think and to see if that product is really brings the value and the cost that we associated with it. So I want to just ask you just a quick question, for you to really reflect on. And is your data spurring people to action? If your data is spurring people to action. If not, just go to that, again, that process. What is missing? Right? Going through that self-analysis, that self-awareness. What is missing? Why my people are not using the products that are implemented? Why not? So, are you spurring them to action? If not, make it so. But that's it for me, guys. That's the only thing that I have. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, I get to know you a little bit better after listening.
Any questions? Thank you, Hugo. Questions?
No questions. You see, you said that you're going to be interactive.
I told them to be interactive, and they don't want to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And then Databricks has like super easy MCP enablement, so we can just like more or less like flip it on, and then it gives all our AI models access, and so we were able to like very quickly start the weekly reports that everybody was doing. Now instead of like actually pulling data and then building a report and then doing all that, they just go to Claude. Yeah, they go to Claude and then Claude's connected to the MCP, and then they ask Claude to create a report. And then like as the reports had like sections that were more and more interesting, better, they started to take those and they had those sort of like template files that they provide to Claude, so now the reports are more and more consistent.
Like we like this.
Yeah.
More of this or do this.
So